And a nice setup with kings here on a pretty aggressive table, I think. We get 3-bet here by a guy, in my opinion, that's been pretty aggressive, and actually the most aggressive 3-better that I've seen on any of the tables. Xorthio ends up calling, and I think at this point he's sort of playing into his own image of, would I ever really be 4-bet bluffing here? Well, if the answer is you're never 4-bet bluffing, you need to be 4-bet bluffing. He ends up calling here, which is not, to me, is not the worst play in the world, but it definitely illustrates a problem with your game, is that you're making reactions to your game based on your weaknesses. You're realizing, wow, I would never be 4-bet bluffing here, and a 4-bet just looks so strong here that I don't want to overplay my hand. Well, the problem with this, the simple answer to this is that we need to be 3-bet bluffing far more often, be more aggressive pre-flop, and therefore a 4-bet would just come seamlessly here, and we could expect a large amount of 5-bet bluffs, in fact, which would be the next natural step. Or we could expect them to get the money in with pocket queens, pocket jacks even. The more aggressive you are, the easier poker will become because your opponent's reactions will be more simplified. He checks it back here, so let's think about his range. I definitely think that he can be 3-betting hands like jacks and 10s here. I also think that the majority of his hands are probably going to be also going to be spade draws. I think that makes a lot of sense here. So ace-jack of spades, ace-king of spades, ace-10 of spades, maybe even all of the ace-x of spades. Maybe even a hand like ace-5 suited that he opted to 3-bet bluff. All of those are certainly options. Bottom line is, how often do I really think that we're behind? I think very, very rarely. If ever, really. I would probably say almost never. A few people might, for some unforeseen reason, slow play top set or something, but I just really think we always have the best hand here. On the river, though, now we again have to break it down. How many queens do we really think are in his range here? Well, very few, honestly. There might be a few of 3-bet bluffs that opt to check the flop. He could have a hand potentially like a queen 9 offsuit of queen 10 that he opted to 3-bet bluff and then check back the flop. Those are all possibilities. But what does the majority of his hands look like? Jacks, 10s, and a ton of misdraws, right? When all of those misdraws are in his range, I think that Xorthio is just taking the easy way out and really level 1 thinking here. I almost certainly have the best hand, so I'm going to bet. Well, that part is certainly true, but the analysis doesn't hold true because so many of these hands are just going to fold on the river. But when you check to them on the river, and so often regulars in these games just aren't checking premium hands on the river, that we're just missing an excellent opportunity. One, that he could value bet own himself with jacks and 10s, or two, most likely he just has a ton of flush draws and straight draws here that he's probably going to be betting or bluffing a lot of the time. So please take advantage of all the draws that are in his range and how wide we have created his range to be. And take advantage of that, and please just check here, guys. I say so strongly now, these opportunities, they come much easier to me seeing some of these opportunities to allow others to bluff because, for the most part, one, these are not checks that a lot of the regulars are making. But two, I understand in my game that if I was Antoine and I had a draw on that on the turn, I would definitely bluff the river. And it's really it's an idea of understanding your own game to allow yourself to improve while watching others. And I think that's a really a critical idea, is understanding some of your weaknesses. What you would do in that situation, a lot of times other players would do the same. And again, this is the third or fourth time that this player has checked to us as a pre-flop raiser. What this would really make me do in the future is that I would call him in position just absolutely constantly. I think this is a very, very clear tell that we have on this player now that he's going to be giving up if he misses the flop. And I think we can actually carry that over to a number of other situations. I just think that he's going to be pretty straightforward for the most part. We can make some decent folds with like second pair on the flop return occasionally when we're playing against this sort of guy, and at the same time we can float him relentlessly.